These are the 4 graphs Protake provides to help you get better exposure and color in your videos. Notice how they adjust as the turtle moves across the screen. If you look closely, you can see the turtle itself move throughout this graph. Pretty cool. And these 4 graphs are your histogram, your RGB histogram, your waveform, and your parade. And if you want cinematic footage or you plan color grading in post, having the correct exposure in video really makes a difference. So if you want better exposure, these tools will help. And if you're just curious or confused about some of these graphs, let's take a moment and clear that up right now as we go over the basics. Don't worry, I'll keep it simple and to the point. You've already seen that Protake offers 4 distinct monitoring tools to get better exposure and color. And if you already use Protake, I'm sure you've already seen them here in the lower left corner of your screen. You can access each one individually by tapping here. They move from waveform to parade to histogram to RGB histogram, but let's cover those in a slightly different order for simplicity, starting with what I would consider the simplest, and that's the histogram.
Okay.
Your histogram is a graphic that measures exposure on a scale from 0 to 100. Left to right goes from pure black to shadows, midtones, highlights, and to pure white. It changes in real time depending on what's on the screen. Details and data are lost on the extreme left and extreme right. It's a rule of thumb to generally try and balance things toward the middle, but this depends on the mood and shot you're going for. As your histogram helps with exposure, the RGB histogram helps you check the color saturation of your video. Left to right still goes from dark to bright, just like the first histogram, but bottom to top represents the amount of pixels for each color. The higher value on the left means not enough color is showing, while a higher value on the right means you have more color saturation. Just like the first histogram can show you areas where whites and blacks are clipped, the RGB histogram shows you if your colors are clipped. By taking a look at both histograms, you'll see if you need to adjust lighting or exposure if clipping occurs. Your waveform is one of the best ways to measure and read exposure of your image because you can see the full luminance range compared to a histogram. This waveform graph measures the brightness of your picture similar to how you would naturally view an image on the screen. However, the way you read it is a little different from a histogram. Actually, it's a little more natural because it looks like you're looking at the image itself. The left, middle, and right represent the left, middle, and right of your image. The scale is also 0 to 100 on the ARE graph, similar to what we covered in Protake's false color analytics. If you haven't already seen this video, check it out here. It's worth the look. 0 is pure black and 100 is pure white. This makes it easy to see, number 1, if you're clipping, and number 2, where in the image that's happening. Fourth is your parade. This is essentially the same as your waveform, except now, instead of measuring the intensity of whites and blacks, we can see a measure of your red, green, and blue channels. It also moves from left to right similar to our waveform. The level of intensity with each color will tell you if your image has greater or lesser tints of reds, greens, or blues. So those are the basics to Protake's 4 monitoring tools. Also, don't forget to check out my video on Protake's zebras, false color, and focus peaking right here, or another helpful video here. Take care.